Okay, so I guess happy Wednesday. I'm Tina Malsom, and this is our team training event. And we're going to talk today about prospecting, where to find prospects. We've done prospects, we've done prospecting. We've done the ATM system, which stands for add, tag, message. We've done trainings on how to get people onto your Facebook pages, onto our social media pages, to then introduce them to our product through videos, through testimonies. We've done trainings on our sample system. I got to tell you, the samples, all it takes is somebody to drop one in their mouth and try it for once or twice or 3 times. They're pretty much hooked. You know, it really comes down to a this or this kind of a thing. Do you really want to choke down a bunch of supplements or drink a gross shake and all those things that you don't wake up in the morning and look forward to that? No one ever wakes up and go, man, I can't wait to take my supplements today. Nobody does that. But honestly, these, I actually wake up and I'm like, ooh, which one am I going to try first? Like, I look forward to trying them. So our sample program works amazing because once people get in the habit of 1 or 2 or 3 a day, it's kind of a hard habit to break. People are getting really hooked on them. So we've done training on that. But what I'm getting the most questions on is people are asking, where do I find people? Where do I find more people? So the first one is your warm market, right? We all know who our warm market is, not necessarily family, because family kind of sucks. And with families, they're kind of difficult. They're like the people, here's what's wrong with prospecting your family first. They've known you since you were 5, right? Or born. So every mistake you've ever made in your life, they equate to what you're doing now. And in their minds, they're thinking, this is the kid that used to eat dirt, borrowed 20 bucks from me, stole something out of my purse, you know, dropped something on the floor and then ate it out of the garbage can. And now they want to be in business with me. Like, that's how your family sees you, right? Because I have cousins my age and that's how I see them. If they were to come to me with a business opportunity, I'd be like, you were the kid that got in trouble smoking weed and throwing a poker party when your parents were gone for the weekend. I'm not doing business with you. And you have to kind of put yourself in their shoes. That's how they think of you, right? Because they know you the best. They're your family. So family is very difficult. So I always say, pass on your family and talk to them later after you've already shown success, okay? So your warm market is the people that, you know, we all have some people that we can call and say, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing yet. There's this thing, it's a project, it's DNA drops, and it's this candy, and I'm kind of hooked on it, and I don't really know a lot about yet, but I think you'd love it, and you just need to do it with me. And then they go, oh, okay, right? We all have a friend like that, or okay, I shouldn't say the boys, but most of the girls have that friend, right? There's that one little girl buddy that you just have that friend. Those are the first kind of people that you call, right? Then when you've got a little posse, you've got a little candy crew, a couple of you, then it's easier to branch out into more of your contacts. Now, here's what I do. I always start at A and I end at Z. Because if I just go through my phone willy-nilly and just pick people out, then I forget. And if I write it down and then I'm scatterbrained and then, right? No, so I always start at A. And here's what I think needs to happen more often. You don't start a conversation with somebody immediately and then tell them about your business. Because nobody wants to be sold anything. We all know that because I don't want to be sold anything either. When I walk into like the mall or a car dealership, the minute the salesman comes up to me and tries to sell me something, I go like this, stop, just stop. I don't want it, nothing, right? When I want something, I will come to you. Are we not all kind of like that? Now, when I want something, I'm the first person to go find the salesperson, right? But I wouldn't be able to find the salesperson if I didn't know he was selling that particular car or that particular dress or those shoes. So it's your job to inform people of what you're doing so they know to come look for you later. But it's not your job to like pitch them and sell them, especially on the first conversation. So I would say this. There's a saying in network marketing, 2 in play, 10 a day, or 2 a day, 10 in play. So if you really focus on 2 people a day, and I'm not talking about 2 random send something and they never respond. I'm talking about 2 conversations. 2 conversations a day will create 10 people that are in your funnel that are in play, okay? So 2 times a day, you can go and like it, don't prejudge people, start at A and go all the way through Z and just say, let's start with Ann. Hey, Ann, it's been a long time. What have you been up to? not sure why your name popped in my head, but I was thinking about you, and it's been years since we connected. And what are you doing? What projects are you working on? How are your kids? Just build it. Just start building a relationship. Do that twice a day. Don't say anything about your business. And then a week or two later, the second follow-up is, hey, since we chatted a couple weeks ago, because it's uncomfortable to say, hey, I haven't talked to you in years, but let me tell you all about my business. Let me tell you all about this project I'm working on. They don't want to hear it, right? But if you build a relationship and show interest, and then they show interest in you, and you're kind of going back and forth, what have you been up to? And then a couple weeks go by and you go, hey, listen, I've been thinking about you since we had that conversation a couple weeks ago. I'm working on a project. I don't know if it's for you or not, but it might be. And I don't want you to over time say, I can't believe you didn't tell me about this. Would it be okay if I sent you some information about a project I'm working on, just in case maybe it is for you? That's pretty non-committal, right? That's pretty non-threatening. So start at A and go all the way down to Z. Don't prejudge, because you don't know. People don't walk around with Post-it notes on their forehead that say, I'm sick. I just lost my job. I'm in pain. Please help me. Please sell me something, right? It's not, wouldn't it be great if it were that easy, but it's not, because people don't always wear what's going on in their day-to-day life on their sleeve. But we know that people go to bed at night praying for something like this to come along. And what if it's somebody in your list on your phone under the A column? What if it's one of those people? And you never bother to bring it up because you don't think they'd be interested. Don't prejudge people. Leave it up to them, because you just never know. So warm market, that's the first thing. Social media is the second thing. You can do the same strategy with social media. You can easily hook up with, and let's say you only have 20 friends on Facebook. I know there's people that only have 20 friends, but those 20 friends of yours probably have friends that are mutual with other friends, right? And you can make new friends and say, hey, I know we're both friends with Jennifer. How do you know Jennifer? Oh, I met Jennifer in a networking group. Oh, I've been neighbors with Jennifer for years. She's so great. Don't you love the way she's so spunky all the time? Bond over something familiar to both of you, and then build a relationship. And then a week or two goes by and you send them a message. Hey, I've been thinking about you ever since we had that conversation. Now, again, not so much boys, but girls, usually in a conversation that lasts more than 10 minutes, they're going to bitch about something almost all the time. 99% of the time, if you're talking to a woman, within 10 minutes, there's something to bitch about, right? And she's going to say, oh, I hate my boss, or my kids are so unruly, or my husband's driving me crazy, or, you know, I have this ache or this pain, or my head aches, I don't sleep enough, my husband snores, like whatever it is. And you could say, you know what, I have a drop for that. And they go, what's that? Right? Because there's the turning point between you buying something and you selling something, right? In every transaction, there is a winner and a loser. I guess I shouldn't use the term loser. There is a sale made or no sale made, right? In every transaction, either you're selling them on what you want them to purchase, or they're selling you on why they don't want it, right? Would you agree? Every transaction has a salesperson in it, and whoever is the better salesperson is going to win the conversation. So, for example, you're sitting with somebody and they start complaining about their kids are unruly and they never go to sleep and they're up until 3 a.m. trying to get their kids to bed. And you say, you know, I have a solution for that. We have a DNA drop for that. And they go, what's that? Well, it's called Relax. You could give it to your kids around 9 o'clock. I bet they'd be asleep by 10. Why? Because it's a product in instant gratification nutrition that has these ingredients that are known for helping people relax. Would you like to try it? We have a great sample program. That's not hard. You guys could do that 100 times a day, right? But you can only do that if you build the relationship enough to get them to complain about something. Isn't that terrible? We're in the business of getting people to complain about something. Because if they're not complaining, if they don't have a problem, you can't offer the solution, right? We have a solution. But if you don't know what the problem is, no one wants the solution to nothing, right? So you have to build a relationship long enough to hear what the problem is. And once you do that, there you go, good to go, right?
Guys do complain, by the way.
What do they complain about?
They say things
Not
like,
their wives.
my wife is so amazing, she makes me look bad.
Oh, there we go. I like that one.
Like, she's so incredible that I feel just beneath her most of the time. Like they complain about stuff like
And
that.
then you can say this, I have a drop for that. Have you heard of Power for Men? There's the solution. Just like that. Instant gratification solution. So, okay, social media. So same thing. Build relationships online. You know, you could probably pull up your friends list on social media and spend 2 years going through all the people that you're friends with. And I even sometimes send them a text and say, hey, I have no idea how we're connected, but I saw a really cool post on your page. How old are your kids? Or, you know, I just the other day, I did one with a horse. There was a gal who had a post on with a horse. And I said, I'm not sure how we're connected, but I love your horse. Do you live in the neighborhood? And she's all, oh yeah, actually I live around the corner. Where do you live? And then we just got to chatting, right? That's how it happens. I haven't recontacted her, but I will in a couple of weeks, right? So never on the first contact. And always ask people, never just send them a video or a link. Always ask them, would it be okay if I sent you a link? Hey, I think I might have a solution for you. Would it be okay if I sent you some information? What's wrong with that? It's so simple. They might say no, but it's unlikely. Because if you're polite about it, they're not going to be like, no thanks, stop bugging me. They're going to say, sure, send it on over, right? So the third way to find people is person to person. I mean, we see people everywhere we go, right? We see people at the grocery store. We see people at the post office. I love seeing people at the post office because then I got all my packages with my samples in it. That's an easy starter conversation. Gosh, I feel like I've been at the post office more than I've been in my own house this week. Why is that? Oh my gosh, I got all these samples to send out. Samples of what? Oh, have you heard of DNA drops? No, what's that? In fact, I have a sample in my car. Would you like to try it? Let me tell you all about it. Would it be okay if I sent you a video? Okay, simple. Keep it simple, keep it easy. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And the fourth way is networking groups. And this is something Kelly and I over the years have just fallen in love with, networking groups. Do you want to talk about those?
Sure. So, first of all, I'm just interested in the chat box right now. Oh. I'm not reading anything. I'm just going to ask you a question. You know, you all probably lived in your neighborhood for 1, 5, 10 years. How many of you can tell me in the chat box right now about how many people they've actually had conversations with in their own neighborhood? Like your own block, down the street. Like most people will say, well, I know my neighbor right next door to me on the left and right, or maybe right across the street. But I'm talking like down your street, a couple streets over. How many of you actually know your neighbors? That you live right there down your street? Because I have a challenge. Here's my challenge. My challenge is this.
Walking the dog, that's a good one.
Okay.
Always meet people when you're out walking your dog, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, a couple people say 0, yeah. Some say 5, 12. When Tina and I didn't know anybody when we knew 4 people in Arizona when we moved here almost a year ago. And then the first thing we did was have a housewarming party, and we invited all the neighbors. So, and guess what? We got to know most of the neighbors like in one day, at least that first contact. And then, you know, we come to find out, we go to networking groups. First, let me digress back to the challenge. The challenge part is this. Go down a Safeway or whatever your Vons or wherever Ralph's, wherever you shop at, and just go to the bread and pastry section where they have like $3 to $5 cookies or cupcakes, and just once a week, go buy the cupcakes for $5. Put a little note on top of it. Say, hey, I'm your neighbor. I live at this address. This is my phone number or my email. I'm just wondering how you're doing. I hope you're okay. These are for you. These are a gift from us to you. We just hope everything's going okay for you. And I promise you, you'll make a best friend just doing that one little thing. Our sample packs are $5. Or are they $4?
$5.
All right, $5. Then if you ship them out, they're like $1.62. So $7, right? So it almost works as good as giving somebody a sample pack, except you're just doing something nice for somebody, right? You just go around the corner, and whoever you haven't met yet, just drop them off something at their door and just tell them who it's from so they don't think they're going to get poisoned. You know, if they want to call, make sure you didn't inject something wrong in there. Just say, hey, I just wanted to, was thinking about you. Want to make sure everything's going okay for you. Never really got to meet you. We've lived here this long, and I'm just reaching out to see how you're doing.
One of our neighbors recently that we met, one of our neighbors just brought us a dozen eggs from their chicken that we didn't know that they had. Now we know.
They're blue,
and so
green,
we invited him
and
over.
Brown eggs. They're double yolked. I remember a kid having chickens. But
so we invited him over and just invited him over for a drink just today because they brought us some eggs. And like, that's so nice. Like, your neighbors bringing you something. I don't know. I think we're at a time period in the world where like the little things that people used to do for each other works really well in building relationships, because we want to know our neighbors. We want to know our communities. We want to be, part of our neighborhoods.
All right. So this is how small a world it is. So networking groups, that's my favorite thing to do. If I gave a job description of what I do, is I go to networking groups and meet people and socialize. That's basically my job. That's my favorite part. Plus you get great breakfasts or wherever you're eating. And you get to meet all kinds of people from, everywhere. And what's great about that is, again, you're forced, most of them, you stand up and give your 30-second pitch. Mine's like maybe 11 seconds, because I stand up and I just say, hey, I help people get healthy by instant gratification nutrition. And I do that with this little tiny DNA drop that's packed full of healthy nutrients that are great for your body. And I promise you, if you did just that, that's all you said, after the meeting, you're going to have a circle of people around you saying, hey, what's that thing you're telling me about? What's that drop thing, that DNA drop thing, the candy stuff? And that's all I do. I don't say anything about the ingredients. I don't put on the scientist hat. I don't say, oh, it's a phytonutrients and it does this and there's this ashwagandha stuff in it and and it's heated up to this. I don't do any of that. I just say instant gratification nutrition, and I, of course, have it on me. I'm like, here, hold out your hand. I'll give you a sample right now. Put it in your mouth and tell me how that tastes. Isn't that great? I'm like, do you want to know what that is that you have that you're tasting right now? And then I tell them, they're like, really? Well, how do I get that? Oh, funny you asked. Would it be okay if I gave you some more information? What's your number? And I'll text it to you right now. It's that simple. If you want to make it harder, just do that and then run around the building 5 times, and then you just made it harder. Because you don't have to. Just simple Big Al one-liners works at networking meetings, and now they're open, at least in Arizona, which apparently is like we're riddled with COVID here, and they're having networking meetings everywhere. So I'm asserting that probably most of the nation, you're allowed to look at somebody in a room again.
Networking groups are now online, which it's funny because people say, I went to meetup.com, which is where you find them. Go to meetup.com, look for business networking in your neighborhood. But the thing now is it doesn't even have to be in your neighborhood. You could go to like Franklin, Tennessee, meetup.com, put in Franklin, Tennessee, and see what business networking groups are happening there. And then when the meeting starts on Zoom, you just say, I'm looking to expand my business into Franklin, Tennessee. So I'm here at your meeting today. Great. What do you do? Oh, I help people get healthy through instant gratification nutrition. Have you heard of a DNA drop? No. What's that? Okay. It's even easier now that everything is online. I like person to person. We like.
So on the message or on the chat box, people do business. Finish my line here. People do business with people who they what? Somebody put it in the chat. People do business with people who they
everybody knows the answer.
Know, like, and trust. Who did that? Who said that? Pamela Zimmer. Thank you.
John, Sherry,
yeah,
Mona, they all know.
People do business who they know, like, and trust. I'm going to give you like the most rapid way to get people to know, like, and trust you. And it literally takes, well, it takes kind of as long as it takes, but it takes in a conversation. If you want somebody to know, like, and trust you, all you have to do is this. So I'm looking at Pamela right now because she's right in the middle of the screen. So if I came up to Pamela, I'm like, hey, Pamela, my name's Kelly Vincent. I heard what you said. I'm really interested in what you do. Can you please explain to me all about your business? And then as soon as I say that, I just do this. I don't say another word, and I'll sit there and wait it out for as long as Pamela wants to tell me everything, whatever it is. And I'll sit and I'll listen, and I'll look at her right in the eyes, and I'm going to, my body language, and I'll widen my eyes, I'll have expressions so that she knows that I'm listening to her, and I don't even touch my phone. Even if it's ringing, I pretend I don't even hear it, because I focus on that one person, which, by the way, if you ever wondered what people really want, they want to be listened to.
Want to be heard.
They want to be heard, and they want just somebody to give their full attention. But if you're doing this in the middle of that, not going to happen. They already don't trust you because they don't like you, because you're being rude by doing your phone. So I just do that. I put my phone on silence. It'll be buzzing, whatever. And then when Pamela or whoever that person is done, they're naturally going to go like this. Oh, well, Kelly, what is it that you do? And now I got their 100% full attention because I just gave it to them. It's the most effective relationship builder that you can do with anyone. And when you go to networking groups, you'll find that most people do not get heard, because people, you can watch around, and people are like, they'll be talking and they'll be doing this on the phone, and they're like, oh yeah. Like that happens in their life everywhere. So even if they're not good at explaining it, or if their business is boring, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're not interested, just give them their full attention, and you will have a friend for life, because they don't get heard anywhere. So when you do that, and they ask you, because it's natural. It's just natural. When somebody tells you all about them, they're naturally going to say, well, please tell me about yourself, or what is it that you do? Or can you explain to me why you're here? Whatever, something along those lines. And now you have their full attention, and then you just give them that much. You don't do this. You don't, hey, let's get married. And it's like you just met them. You just give them a little bit, right? Just like, hey, by the way. It
hardly works when you say it.
I know.
I can't tell them the story after.
I know that actually I shouldn't have said that, because it didn't even apply.
You knew it the minute you said it. Huh?
I know. As soon as I said
we have a story for you guys after.
That's another story. But so the networking group, you're going to meet people, and this is what's ironic about it. So I went to this networking group. I met this gentleman. He's in the carpet business or something like that. I invited him to our Halloween party. He came. And then we have people that we met here in Arizona that are part of the team now. And then lo and behold, he heard about the drops just a little bit. Last Friday night, he was doing a job bid for one of our friends that I didn't know. I didn't even recommend him. And they had the drops at their house. And he's like, oh, I know people, Kelly and Tina, that do this. And of course, they're on our team. They're like, oh, yeah, I know Kelly and Tina. We work with them. They're our business partners. And he called me up. He goes, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I just met these really great people, and they had these drop things. Like, I'm totally interested in these drops now. He goes, I feel like I'm missing out on something big. And I'm like, well, you absolutely are. Why don't you come to our next networking event this Monday night? Oh, yeah, can I bring my girlfriend along? Well, absolutely, you can. Now, it's a small world. Right? It's a total, like, who would have thought? These people live like almost an hour away, and none of this was planned. But when you go to networking groups, and you're expanding your network by tenfold,
That's the benefit, though, of having a local team. It's great to have team all over the United States, all over Canada, wherever you're building is great, but there's nothing quite as powerful as building a local team. Because when we did our Halloween party and we had people come over and they asked us, what do you do for a living? And we told them, and then they went, 5 minutes later, they met Travis and Summer. What do you guys do? Oh, we work with Tina and Kelly. We do these DNA drops. And then 20 minutes later, they're talking to my other girlfriend and she says, oh, we work with Tina and Kelly and Travis and Summer. We do these DNA. It's so powerful because it makes people feel like they're missing out on something because they're not taking the drops or they're not part of what we are a part of.
Once people have gotten 3 different touches on our business, right? Whether you gave them a flyer, you invited them to a webinar, or you're at a networking group and you gave them a brochure, or you got them on a 3-way call. 3 touches is what it takes generally for somebody to be in a position. Now, notice what I say, be in a position to be a yes or a no. So after 3 touches, if you're not closing somebody after the 3rd touch, then you're missing out. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to close them, but after 3 different touches and they've engaged somehow, with those 3 different things, they're ready. They've got enough information, right? So they've heard, they've even come up with questions in their head, and the appropriate thing to ask them would be, hey, what concerns would you have or questions do you have for me that I could help handle for you right now?
Plus, yesterday at our networking group we brought 2 boxes. Now, here's what you don't want to say. We have 15 drops, and one's for immunity, and one's for your heart, and one's for your brain, and one's for your beauty, and one's for your gut health, and one's for digestion, and one's for your bones, and one's for pre-workout, and the other's for post-workout. And don't do that. Don't do that. Pick 1 or 2. Pick 1 or 2 of your favorites and showcase that. So yesterday in the meeting, we stood up, we gave our 30-second, we're in instant gratification nutrition. I brought and I brought brain, and that's all I said. I said, this one just won an international poll for best new immunity product on the market. And this one, people are raving about for focus, clarity, mental, concentration. So, and this is a breakfast meeting. So we said, if you're looking for a boost in your immunity and a little more energy today, feel free to grab one of these, pop it, right? Drop it, pop it, share it, pop it out, try it while we're going around the group. If you have a lot of meetings today and you feel like you need some mental clarity, a little more focus, then this is the one you want. And if you want to try both, that's fine too. And I took the boxes and I passed them to the person next to me, and they went all the way around the circle, around the table, and everyone popped one out. And we had like 9 people at the end of the meeting that all said they're either going to go to our webinar last night, which many of them did, or they're coming to a networking group on Monday to meet with us, to talk more about it. It's really, you got to sample it. You got to get it out there.
Furthermore,
let people try it.
To add to that, I went to the meeting last week where I handed out some samples to some people. I did exactly what Big Al, hey, what are your 2 biggest health concerns? Oh my gosh, my shoulder, I'm like, hey, I got slide for that. I'm going to give you like four of these. Why don't you take it when you're having that go on, why don't you take that, and I'm going to be here next week, and you just tell me how it worked for you. That's all I said. And here's the greatest thing, that it's something you cannot pay people to do so perfect. So Tina and I are sitting there this week, and it came around to our turn. But before it was our turn, the people that we sampled it to were selling it for us. So they stood up and they said, oh, my name's Jeff or whatever. And he goes, oh, but by the way, I took one of those drops and, I have this pain. I've been on all this stuff, with CBD oil and stuff. Nothing works. And I swear to you, this stuff is the first time ever that it's worked for my shoulder. All right. Then it kept going to the next person. Oh my gosh, my knees. I got up and my knees, this slide stuff, whatever that is. What are those drop things that Kelly and Tina gave me, or Kelly gave me last week? It works so good. And then by the time it got to us, people were ready to order. We didn't even say anything. We didn't have to say anything. So that was the 3rd touch. So that by the time it got to us, they were selling it for us. So, but again, that's what happens when you're in person doing network meetings. You can also do that online. The good thing about online is you could touch more people. I think it's, I don't know, there's two different things. You have to really work hard at your background environment, what you're wearing. You cannot look like a slob when you're online doing a business presentation or a networking meeting. You really have to focus in on what people can see, because they can only see that. So they judge you for whatever your place you're in, and you just need to know that and be prepared if you're going to do it online. Now, it's free. Most of them are free. Even the extremely expensive BNI meetings are free, or they have been. And you could get in front of, and you could do it in most states. They let you do it. So, you could reach a lot of people. I think it's great practice. You should all try it at least once.
Yeah, I have a good tip. So a lot of these online ones, because people are tired of being pitched, and and it seems like it's the same old thing every week. People come on and all they're interested in giving you their 2-second elevator speech, right? So the new thing I've noticed in the last 2 groups that I did, instead of having you say what the people you're looking for, they ask you, they're saying, what kind of challenge can someone in our group help you with today? Like they're looking for you to say a business challenge that you have so other people can participate. So I don't know if it's the new thing or BNI or what's happening with that, but twice in the last 2 groups. So when they ask me, what are your what is a challenge that you have in your business that we can maybe help you solve? I say this. I say, well, my biggest challenge right now is the fact that we call these candies and people don't realize how much actual nutritional value is in them because it's called a candy. And then they're like, what is that? What kind of nutritional value? So there's always a way you can get what you want to say in the right way and get it out there in a curiosity kind of campaign, no matter what because all these networking groups are trying to now be different, because it's been 10 months now that they've been doing them online. They're trying to differentiate a little bit. But here's the last thing. I want you to write this down, because this is very easy. And we talked about women and they like to complain, and within a few minutes, you'll find something's wrong with something, right? It's usually money. Somehow it comes down to money, and they don't go on enough vacations. Their husband works too much. I never see him, and my kids are driving me crazy, whatever it is, right? So let's say you're having a conversation and they don't complain about anything, right? They don't complain about anything. What are your 2 biggest health challenges? Ask them. When they say what they are, all you say is this: have you considered doing something about that? Or would you like to do something about that? And they're going to say, sure, or of course. No one ever goes, no, I like getting migraines every day, right? Of course, yes. And you say, when? When would you like to do something about that? Because what are they going to say? Next Christmas? They're going to say immediately, right now. If it's a health challenge, they want it right now. Great. Would it be okay if I sent you a video and gave you a sample to take home and called you in a couple days? Sure. How many times a day could you do that? A lot. And with younger people, just remember this: they don't have health challenges yet. They don't have health challenges. So you say this: what are your 2 biggest financial challenges? Well, I don't have enough money for beer on the weekends. I don't know what they're going to say, but it's going to be something like that, right? If they're millennial, if they're younger, they're going to say, oh, I never go on vacation, or I'm always working. I can't seem to get ahead. I still have school debt, right? Same thing. Would you like to do something about that? Well, yeah. When? When would you like to do something about that? Right now. Great. Why don't you jump on this webinar with us tonight? We'll teach you all about how we can take a side hustle and turn it into a full-time income paying fortune. Yeah. Okay. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Ask questions that they can't say no to. That's the key. They can't say no, or they have to answer with something that gives you their time frame, which is usually right now. And if they do say no, or they do say no, I never want to do anything to improve that, well, then this is probably not for you. You know, and if it gets to the point where you feel like you're selling them something, you just simply say something like, listen, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but here's what I'd really love. If I gave you this sample, would you try it for a couple days and just give me a testimony? I don't want to sell you anything, but what I'm really looking for is a couple testimonies to put in my Facebook page. Would you do that for me? Most of the time they're going to say yes. Sure, I'll try it out. If somebody said that to me, I would say yes. Sure, I'll try it out and give you a testimony in a couple days. And if I loved it, in fact, I just did that recently with shampoo. Somebody gave me a sample of shampoo, and it's not like real shampoo that foams up. It's like this weird, like dry kind of weird shampoo. But I actually like it because I get these little, like, since we moved to Arizona, I get these like little wispies. I don't know if it's a dry, I don't know what it is, but I was complaining about them. And she said, I think I might have a solution for you. I said, what's that? She goes, well, my company has this shampoo that's kind of like a dry, it's not a foamy, it's like a dry shampoo. And what it does is it gets rid of the breakage because your hair is so dry, it's breaking, and that's what's creating all the little wispies. If I gave you a sample, would you try it? And I said, absolutely. I tried it for 3 days, and then I called her and said, well, how do I get some? Right? I do it all the time. I know you guys can do this all the time. Yeah, and I love the if I, would you? If I sent you a video, would you watch it? If I gave you a sample, would you try it? If I gave you this, would you give me a testimony? Right? Simple. So that's all we really wanted to talk to you guys about today was prospecting and where to find people to prospect. Because even in this time where we're quarantined, there are people everywhere who are looking for exactly what we have.
Did we do updates on the
Convention?
convention?
I did.
All right.